And we absolutely need to cooperate and communicate with other countries as well in dealing with the world.
Hello, everyone. Give me 2 moments, 2 minutes, 2 moments, 2 seconds, maybe. In other words, that's good enough. The sun's out. Let's put it that way. It's very bright now. A few minutes ago, I had to literally put down the blind more because it was literally blinding myself. I couldn't see the screen in front of me. Which is a good complaint, I suppose. It's better than the rain. So just to say, if you hear stuff in the background, it's listening to Dáil Éireann to see what's happening with the EU migration pack, which is the first thing we'll be talking about today. But without no doubt, it's going to be passed. Nothing's really going to change. It's going to pass. The government's support. Nobody's going to stand up and say no. None of the government TDs, basically. So yeah, that's what I think. So have me tea in. So where is my phone? It's there. Because waiting to see somebody wing now, and that's what's going to happen.
Minister, the migration pact.
Oh, this Dennis not. He's going to bullshit on. But he's World Economic Forum badge, of course. Like, oh yeah, of course, exactly. He's the word. Well, what do you expect, I suppose, from Dennis Napton? He's not an independent. He's basically just feeding a form, feeding the gear shit. Like if he's independent, then what am I? He's just basically he's in the government's pocket, basically.
Representing 5.3% of the population, with 3/4 of them living in Germany.
And I wouldn't mind, but there's no Irish flag on them to be seen. It's just the World Economic Forum symbol. Nothing else. There's nothing like you think you have an Irish flag or something around them. Like at least when I was going around Finland, and an Irish flag, even though it's that small, they broke their heart trying to get a flag to me. They broke their heart. It's the smallest pin ever. Like literally, I couldn't lose it. I would keep going out. Like look at the size of that. Like if you blink, you wouldn't see it. Am I live? Oh, yeah, it must be live. Just checking. Just me to actually double check. I know we're probably a few minutes early. Who's this?
To accusations that actually stifle open dialogue. That's why I strongly argued last week in the Business Committee and again yesterday here in the House.
The House.
Every member of Dáil Éireann who wishes to speak, regardless of their opinion, should be given the opportunity to do so.
Yeah. Hello, yeah. It took a second for things to come up there now.
The public has lost confidence in our immigration system.
Yeah, and you're going to say we vote for the EU migration pact. Because then there's nothing. He's just going to go whatever feeling says. Independent of me whole. If he's he's not independent. He's basically, especially the thing on this thing, basically tells you what he is. Hello there, Fiona. Good evening. Trust them. You know, I think that's long gone out the door. I'm just doubting these people now that's speaking in the door.
In the vast majority of emails that I have received, the claim has been made that this regulation overrides our sovereignty as a country due to the transfer of responsibility over the management of our borders to the EU Commission. This raises a legitimate question about the legality of this without a constitutional referendum.
Which they should just have in the immigration pact. They should just go to the people with it. But again, they know what the answer is going to be, especially after the last referendum. They know what the answer is going to be. So that's why they don't want to go, because they know what the public's going to say. You know. Yeah, we start in a few minutes. There's a good bit to talk about now tonight.
This is the defence being presented to address legitimate concerns raised about the potential liability to the state as provided for in the solidarity pool formula laid out in the asylum, migration and management regulation. However, it must be highlighted that this is a minimum figure.
One sneeze.
These figures will be reviewed every 3 years.
Excuse me, sorry, apologies.
That this minimum threshold
See, that's why I put the pets away. It's better to hold a pen. Because I don't know, with them HP pets is always sneeze for some reason. There must be a lot to do something. Like the HP pets, even when I was at school, I used to always put them, hold them and stuff like that. I end up sneezing. Thank you. So I don't know what's the problem with them ones, because every time I open, like that's why I put it away, because I was knew about to sneeze.
€1 per year and the 648 international protection applicants is because of the rapidly growing inward pressure on migration from regions bordering the EU. The International Office for Migration has recorded 264,000 irregular entries into the EU by land or sea as of the 27th of November last. This compares to 150,000 in 2021.
2021. I know I'm a bit early just to say to people I know that. I said 7, we're a bit early. I suppose I get started now in a second. I suppose then, because I don't think notifications were that. Again, sorry if this is putting you off in the background too, just because I want to hear what's happening too.
But again, to give context to these figures, these irregular entries account for approximately 66 out of every 1,000 people who migrate into the EU from other parts of the world.
So yeah, I suppose we get started. Where am I here? Sorry. Yeah, we're starting with the EU migration pact. I don't foresee, because again, it's going to pass. Because there's no opposition. The government, even though the High Court might take a later action against it, they're not going to have a referendum. It's sad, they should, but they're not. It's not at this stage, at this late stage of the day, they're not, because they're going to vote on it tonight. I think. I think so. As far as I'm aware, they are. So, so you know of this lady. She's bringing a High Court saying for the Oireachtas, the Dáil, they can't vote to this a referendum, which should be the way it should be. You shouldn't have to go to the High Court about it. But again, in this fucking country, it's opposite way around. Especially after the last referendum, they don't really want to go with the other referendum because they might get hammered again. Hammered if they did. But unfortunately, the High Court is going to side with the government to be like, yeah, because again, they're one and the same. The High Courts, the courts are one and the same with the government. They're in bed with the government, basically. The TDs and senators, they're in bed with them. They're going to do this what they want in the European Union too. They're not going to think about Ireland's sovereignty or the constitution legitimacy of it, because it's going to pass. It is going to pass because it's not one. I was watching it there for the last 20 minutes. There was government TDs. Norma Foley spoke up and said she was going to vote for all of them, basically. None of them in the government benches, said, I have huge concerns about it. Even though people have wrote huge amount of emails and stuff to government TDs, etc. Said they don't care. Simply don't care. They never cared about it. And again, you hear Dennis Naughton here. He's saying, how great the European Union is, etc., etc. We should sell the whole country away. We already sold everything away. We're selling more now. We're going to continue to say, what's to sell everything best to the European Union if he got away with it. But unfortunately, this is not going to happen. It is going to be voted in. There's no really obstacle for not to go past now, to be told. Because again, the government have the numbers. At the end of the day, the government has numbers. It's going to be voted in, and they're not going to do it now, less than a few months away from a general election, because they're not going to have the biggest defeat in the history of the state again. Hello, I keep saying now, how are we doing? But unfortunately, it's not going to work. Unfortunately, the High Court, because let's just be fair, it's going to pass. It's going to pass. But I think they are voting tonight. But again, there's huge questions to be asked. As you know, this woman met well. I'm sure people have known him very well. That it should be brought to the public, because again, it is something that should be a referendum on, because it does affect the country and will affect the country, because we won't have our own sovereignty to decide what we do with our borders. It'd be the European Union who take that sovereignty away from us and look after us. You don't have to worry about that. The state will look after that, as the old saying went. But we shouldn't be allowing it. That's what I'm saying. But unfortunately, there's nothing anybody can really do, because they're just stubborn. They're too stubborn to listen to anybody. Like all the government MP and TDs there are just not fucked to listen to anybody who have a different opinion, because they're just like, yeah, the European Union, we're all for the European Union. We sell our own children away if we got away with it to the European Union, to the police stuff on the line. They just bend over backwards, basically, the European Union. They won't dare to say boo to them.
Incentivizing EU countries to facilitate the legal migration of refugees into Europe.
Yeah, we shouldn't be joining this anyway. But yeah, we see what happens in France. So it all depends really what happens in France now in this next election. But yeah, so unfortunately, this is not going to happen. The High Court's not going to rule in favour of this person. It's going to say the government of everything's fine, continue on, the usual carry on. Where am I going to now? So just to talk about this, so we all know about Eamon Ryan. He's won the way. He's basically won the way because he knows what's coming to him in the next election. So we've seen in the local charity election the Green Party get hammered into oblivion. Basically, they've lost half of the council seats, even though Eamon Ryan himself, a few weeks before the election, was like, we're going to have a council elected to every council in the country. Do you remember that? It didn't felicitise. And the same when the Dáil election happens, they're going to get obliterated. Because we now know what the Green Party done. They want to lock old people up for bowling a bit of turf. Like, it's insane some of the things the Green Party want to do. So it's not much loss, basically, that he's going. The only thing he'd be remembered for, his legacy, he'd be falling asleep in the Dáil. That's the only thing he's ever going to be remembered for, and being a tyrant. And then obviously Catherine Martin, the Minister for Media, is stepping back as the deputy leader of the Green Party. Now, she probably won't want either too. So at the moment, who will take it, it looks like Papa Hackett. So it looks like when she went to Finland, they cut a deal with her. Maybe she's working for Finnish intelligence too, to get her the job. Who knows? But anyway, at least it's not Pauline O'Reilly. For the common good, etc., etc. But I don't know. I think all of them are worse than each other. This morning, it wasn't that bad. No, it wasn't that bad. No, I didn't find that cold. And where am I here? Sorry, I'm missing it. But yeah, long story short, who cares about Eamon Ryan? He's not watered down. Because again, he probably would have voted out in the next election. Because again, people are not happy with the Green Party for many good reasons. Yeah, we'll go to that now in a second. So there was a news conference held just when I was coming home. Now, I thought, to be totally honest, Micheál Martin was Fianna Fáil cooed him and got rid of him. Unfortunately not, so he's still here for another while. Behold, Jack Chambers is now the new deputy leader. I don't know why they had a big, huge lolly-bar about it. But Jack Chambers is now the deputy leader of Fáil. Who's that now? But yeah, so this was the big thing today. Even though, to be totally honest, the Fianna Fáil, if they're any way good, they should get rid of this tyrant. Well, to be totally honest, all of them should just just leave the country themselves. Hello, Sean. Yeah, he can do all the cycling he wants now, Eamon Ryan. Oh, did they do something like that tournament? Yeah, like the way the media is speaking about it, you think he saved the planet. On the way the media has gone. I didn't see, but I've seen the articles and stuff. Oh, Eamon Ryan was great. He done his best for the whole country. And I'm like, bitch, excuse me, RT, the media, excuse me. He wanted literally old people in their 90s and 80s to go to prison because they burned a bit of turf. Again, that's what they would have done, only for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael were like, maybe the world voters might kick us up the hole in the next election. So they're like, we probably shouldn't do that yet. But in the future, maybe we will. But not now, because people are ways up enough about migration, so we don't want to wince them up even more. But long story short, the only thing you ever be remembered for, again, OT are just up their own backsides. They just refuse to acknowledge reality. I suppose we'll talk about it in a second too. I have more to talk about it on Eamon Ryan, etc., etc. But the fact of the matter, the only thing he's going to be remembered for by the general public, etc., is the carbon tax, putting people into, basically freezing people in their houses, older people particularly, people who are vulnerable, etc. That's what he's going to remember for, and then obviously falling asleep in the door. So that's his legacy. In 50 years' time, that'll be what people be looking at. They would be saying he done great work. He'd be known as one of the worst ministers to ever walk in this country. Yeah, well Micheál Martin reckons a lot of things, to be honest. He reckons a lot of things. We don't want a backwards looking idea of sovereignty. Well, to be totally honest, that's what they should have done. They should have said, get out to Micheál Martin. Threw him out, basically. Threw him out the gates there. That would have been a lot better, but they didn't do that. Maybe they would get some support if they do now. Like Fianna Fáil just seems to be wanting to destroy themselves. Because to be totally honest, he should be getting the boot. All them Fianna Fáil should be probably getting the boot too, but if they got rid of him, at least then maybe we can you look the other way, maybe. But it's the fact of the matter, they're all sitting there quietly and saying nothing. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So obviously, Ryanair, the people for Ryanair are very happy about Eamon Ryan, as you know. Eamon Ryan didn't like it. He didn't watch anybody, like, the way you go on holiday. People go on holiday to Spain, Portugal on a cheap flight. Ryanair is known as a cheap flight. It's not deal. Take for example, people can go away for a week. Working class people working 9 to 5, right, pay their taxes, pay their wages, struggle to survive, save up a few bob for their children, etc., to go off to Spain or to Portugal for a week or for a few days on a bit of a holiday. Now, obviously, Eamon Ryan didn't like that. He didn't like people going on a commercial plane. He rather take a private plane. It's okay if we do it. We can go and travel around half the place. Like, he went to China, he went to Timbuktu on a private jet, probably. No such thing as cycling around the planet, but and then he went to a country that's the most polluted country in the world, China, and not a word was said about why he's the biggest polluter in the world. But again, hypocritical Green Party. But again, this is it. That he doesn't watch you. He wants you to sit in your house and sit there in the corner with no heat, no fire, no nothing, and freeze to death, and basically be fearing that climate change could come out and kill you at any moment. Basically, it's like, that's the way the Green Party, they want to just put people to death, basically, both financially and fearing that everything could explode, basically, if we have a few people burning a bit of turf in the country. And then you look over the other side of the world and you see India and China literally producing black smoke going in the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there's nothing to say, basically, from Eamon Ryan. But so long story short, not much loss. Because at the end of the day, the people who he was crying about was the only Joe who doesn't have the option of having a private jet, unfortunately. Is not one of the aristocracy. But again, he didn't like that. He didn't like people having holidays. Yeah, long story short. Jeez, we're still talking about fucking icons. Helen McAtee's just there. So speaking about Ryanair, where am I? Sorry, this is that, and this is that. I'm sure people probably have seen but this. So this is the CEO, Michael O'Leary. And he's basically said what everybody, like the media, 100 miles away here, they don't want to acknowledge this. Because again, let's be fair, as a CEO of an airplane company, of an airplane industry, you would know what's happening in your planes and in the airport, etc. Your staff would be reporting back to the leadership of the company. And as he's saying here, it's just a complete scam. People are turning up from Timbuktu. They say they go from FADS, right? They go from Paris International Airport, right, and they come to Ireland. And when they look for the passport here now, they don't have any documents or anything. They let into the country because they flush them down the toilet. And it's not just me that's saying this; it's literally him, and he's a professional man that owns a big, huge company, etc., and he owns an airplane company, so he knows what he's on. Not like an only Joe. He is somebody that literally he would have probably people that work for him would have seen a firsthand, etc., But again, the media, to be found, saying that we probably should be doing more if this is the carry on that's happening. But again, I emphasize this point. This is what it is. A lot of people that are coming here from Albania, from Georgia, from Timbuktu. They're not fleeing war. They're not refugees or asylums. They're economic migrants, to be told. That's the way I would phrase it. Unless they were fleeing from maybe Ukraine, you could argue. In Afghanistan, you can argue they're coming from a war-torn country. You can argue that. But in coming from Algeria or coming from a country that's not had war, etc., you shouldn't be allowed into the country and to asylum, especially with the amount of people coming in. And then the worst thing about this, and this is the thing about this is the thing that, and as he says, it is a bit sinister. Why would people turn up in a country with no documents that flush them down the toilet then? Because they had them when they were getting on the plane, and then when they landed in Dublin, they flushed them down the toilet or they scoured them. So the Irish authorities won't know who they are. It's very sinister. Because, to be totally honest, if I'd done that in Helsinki, long story short, if I threw my passport down the toilet, it's fair to say I would be on the next plane straight away back to Ireland under armed escort. Because I don't think they would put up with the bullshit that you don't have your documents and that you want to claim asylum in Helsinki or in Finland. I think they would probably tell you where you are and how quickly you'll be going home and why you shouldn't be coming back. But over here, that's okay. If you don't have documents, we give you VIP treatment. It's just the country it is. If you don't answer. But long story short, I agree. You watch the whole clip; it's all around the place. As I see, go very viral, and this is not many other files. But again, he knows more than you or me, and etc. etc. And it's something when you hear this complete scam, because not many people who are in CEO positions will come out and just say that. But he is just saying the truth, because it is a complete scam. We're being fabulous, I suppose, whatever you would want to call it. Because it is a scam. Half the people coming in, they shouldn't be here. It's simple as that. They've no grounds to be here. Simple as that. Especially because the sheer amount of people coming in. And the only reason why they're coming in is because they know they're going to get everything for nothing, basically. That's to be told answer. And they know the government are going to provide for them, etc., etc. And then particularly too, when the scouting the documents, again, it's very sinister stuff, because I didn't do that when I went away. I didn't just flush them down the toilet, because I probably wouldn't have got off with it in Finland anyway. But that's why they don't go to Finland; they come to Ireland, because they'll be going back very quickly to where they came from if they done that in Finland, I presume. Because again, there's not many asylum seekers in Finland that are not from Ukraine, etc., etc. They're not coming from Georgia, take this out. They're all from Ukraine, whoever's there. So compared to people coming from Albania, etc., etc. Jesus, we're still talking about eye color. Jesus, I don't get. Wait, what did this big debate start about eye color? Who was it about my eye color? Whose eye color was it? Yeah, like they're just. It's a complete carry on. It's loads, just complete carry on. Because I tell you one thing, I don't think you get off one in Finland. Regardless of who you are, I don't think you would get off one without coming without a passport and stuff like that. Especially with heavily armed guards around you. I wouldn't mind so much in Dublin that there was not one heavily armed guard, but literally border guards everywhere. I think they would take very angry to you not having a passport or any documentation, Because I presume they would have pointing the guns at you and saying you should get back onto your plane and back where you came from. So, just say. So where am I? Yeah, so I'm sure you've seen this carry on from Just Stop Oil. This is in Stonehenge in England. These are thousands of years old. Now, what they're gaining by doing this, because again, they're Just Stop Oil, but they're going around destroying, as you see here, historical historical objects. And it isn't right. And again, it's all for publicity. We know what it's about. Because at the end of the day, the people who they should, if these people stop oil, etc., etc., they're going around. This is terrorism. This is historic terrorism, I would call it. Just destroying monuments, etc., etc. But the thing they won't do, and this is the thing I don't like about Just Oil and these climate protests, etc., because the people who they should be, like, not these historical buildings, etc., etc. Because people go and see them, the historical site, they should be left preserved, etc., etc. But what they should be doing, they should be going to the big oil companies, out refineries, etc., etc., and stopping the lorries from getting out, etc. But we all know what would happen, because it happened before a few years ago. And all the people who were blocking the lorries and trying to stop oil being delivered from the refineries, etc., etc., the people were brought to court and were sued for everything. The oil companies brought them to court, and the oil companies wouldn't tolerate it for people to go around and block the roads and start doing this to their property. So they want to do it to public property, because they know the government would basically let them off with it. And this is what's going to happen. They're going to be let off with it. They'll probably get a few days in prison to be let off, and that'll be it. And they go out and do it to some other place. It's good that we don't have this kind of happen here, but eventually it will happen to be some lunatics that do that here. Will go outside the GPO and do a take for example. If they do so, very harsh punishment should be put on them. But again, it is terrorism to be told. It's historical terrorism because it's needless. It's basically just a big stunt. I wouldn't mind if they achieved something. They didn't achieve anything. Everybody who's seen this, nobody's saying they've done great thing. They've done great work. As you see here, that woman there trying to stop them, and it's a shame that nobody there really tried pulled them to the ground and tried to stop them from doing it. As you see, a woman's trying her best to stop them, but everybody else stood there and looked at it and looked at them do it. As you see, a woman, the only member of the public trying to stop it. And again, I suppose people would say it's only orange paint, etc., but it's the principle. It's a historical because you see so many people there to see them, etc. They should be left preserved. Regardless of where it is, if it was anywhere in the world, I would say any historical site should be preserved. It's not on for somebody to do that. As simple as that. Yeah, but it wasn't the hill tower. Oh, I heard something about that at one stage, yeah. But was it them or was it just some random people? Oh, it wasn't just that boy, yeah, because I remember hearing about it, but it wasn't like that. Because no, I don't know. The probably just being vandals, etc., etc. But still, at the end of the day, the point is, regardless, anybody who does it for any reason, historical site, wherever it is in the world, you should be prosecuted. Simple as that. There's no really arguing about it, because they won't do it outside oil refineries because they know what would happen to them, basically.
Minister, generations of Irish people were forced to emigrate to places like the United States, Australia, and England.
Yeah, the Luke Kelly statue. But I'm like Luke Kelly statue wouldn't be classed as historical. It'd be classed as a statue. If that makes any sense.
Their adopted lands. Often newly arrived Irish people face discrimination.
So I remember I was talking about the deep fakes. So this is deep fake. You wouldn't really. Now to be totally honest, I actually thought this was real at one stage. So this is Nigel Farage, leader of Reform UK. So basically, somebody's put him and the audio, etc., in a Twitch kind of chat. But this is not real. This is a deep fake, basically. So you wouldn't really take it as real. That's how far technology has come. That a lot of people would by this, thinking it was real. It isn't real. He did not play Minecraft, etc., on a live stream. But I'm just saying, we were talking about deepfakes before. This is an example because you couldn't honestly tell if you watched this video. You couldn't actually tell, and I couldn't tell was it him because it sounded so like him, and the way he was acting, etc., and the way the chat was moving too. It's so accurate, and then the video behind everything he done and it said, it's so accurate again. But it's scary to see how it's going that way. Yeah, the cameo. He does the cameos. I know that. I've seen that many times. But it is scary when you see that because he didn't know he did. That isn't. It isn't the case he done in the Minecraft thing. Yes, Shinham. What am I talking about? Eamon Ryan. So yeah, I was going back to Eamon Ryan. I know we're talking a lot about Eamon Ryan. So he's crying about social media. So this is the thing, and I think Val Mal made a video on it earlier on. I was watching a bit of it. This is the thing. Listen to this for a second. The reason why people are so annoyed with politicians, particularly nowadays, Irish politicians, and we have to say it straight, that they're not being listened to by the mainstream media, RTE, News Talk, etc., etc. They're not listening to people. They're ignoring people. They're picking people that suits their narrative. They won't listen to people. And the only way people can get their opinion out is through social media. And the vast majority of the Irish public are fed up, are sick and tired of politicians selling them out, the opinion, selling them out to anybody who pays them bucks, basically. And they're not for the Irish people. That's what I'm saying, the politicians. The people are not happy with it. And the only way they can get it out, because the politicians are hiding in their houses and stuff nowadays, and they won't go out to public meetings, and they won't go to constituency offices, because they're too afraid of people ask them questions. Even just asking what is a woman, they just literally fall into a million bits after that. And again, the only way people can get it out and to say what they think, because again, OT wouldn't hear unless they wanted you to hear it, because the government control OT basically. But people are not happy, and it's fair to say people are not happy in the country with the way the country's going. etc., etc. And the only way to get it out, again, because the OT, the mainstream media, won't publish people who, again, it doesn't suit their narrative, etc., etc. So the only way people can get, particularly about aim and wine and farmers, etc., etc., because OT were for, yeah, let's kill all the cows, etc., etc. Let's do it for the common good. But what's the common good? Who's the common good? What about Klaus Schwab and stuff? Nobody ever asked these questions in OT or in any mainstream newspapers. And the only way these aim and Ryan and stuff, the only way the Green Party were fucked in the last election, and particularly the local town election gone, because people could see what they were doing to elderly people who couldn't afford to light the fire because the briquettes have gone up, coal has gone up, etc., because of the carbon tax. And you wouldn't hear this in OT, you wouldn't see the real struggles. You see it online. I've seen it many times over the last winter. People struggling, elderly people struggling to pay for coal, etc., etc. And they're not even that. They wouldn't let them burn tough. They wanted to put them in prison too. And again, all this because social media. OT, you would never find out half of this from OT because OT wouldn't tell you. Because why would they tell you to destroy the people who are paying them, the Green Party, Fianna Fáil, or Fine Gael? So it's not much. Like, it's again the only way to politicians nowadays, because compared to years ago, there was no such thing as social media. It was all newspapers and public word to word, I suppose. Nowadays, politicians can be held to account. They can be held to account, and that's what's happened to the Green Party. Social media has played a huge role in downfall, and the same with Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, sooner or later. The downfall is by social media, because they can't. This is the thing. This is the main thing I say about it. This is the thing. That they can't control social media. They can control OT and the mainstream media, the newspapers, the mainstream that's funded by the government. But they can't control social media. That's what they don't want. That's what they despise. And this is what Eamon Ryan saying, that the Irish state should control social media. And if anything goes against the narrative, we should delete it and throw it off the face of the earth. We shouldn't allow anybody to have an opinion against the government. And that's what it is. Because you look at Eamon Ryan anytime he tweets out on Twitter or anything like that, everybody underneath it is not saying, yes, we should do this, we should do it. Everybody's saying, no, you're trying to kill off our own people, basically. You're literally putting them in houses that are freezing, etc., etc. Not even that. We've seen tough for thousands of years, people cut tough, and you wanted to put people in prison. And that's what Eamon Ryan wanted to do. He wanted to put them in prison for burning a bit of tough. And then when China over across the world poured hundreds of thousands of tons of coal to power our cities, etc., etc. Not a word said about that. But a few cows in Ireland, we want to kill all of them. We want to destroy farming. We want to kill everybody. Basically, we want people to eat snails. That's what the Green Party basically want. And who would vote that in? And again, for OT, they're just like the Green Party of all for the environment, etc., etc. And the same Green Party, this is the thing, and this is the thing we have to realise. The people who care about the environment, etc., etc., they wouldn't go out on the fit. Somebody's had to go out and do a day's walk in the environment, etc., etc. What I do, lifting rubbish and stuff like, because that's the basic of environmental policy, is making sure that your environment is nice and clean, etc., etc. Everybody wants to achieve that. There's nobody in the world that will say, I want to live in a mess of a country, etc., etc. The streets messy, etc., etc. But it's the fact of the matter, if you ask Eamon Ryan to go out and do it, he'd be like, oh, it's too dirty of a walk. I want to be a champagne socialist in my house and say about the common man, etc., etc. I want to, and it's for the greater good, the common good. That's Pauline O'Reilly famously said, for the common good, because everything's for the common good. Apparently, when the common good doesn't suit them, by God, they're going to not be happy. Yeah. Well, my time. Oh yeah, I know what the statue a few years ago. But no, as I say, this is the only thing, because and I say this clearly, the only reason why they're upset so much, because so many TDs, even though in some cases, like we were met, some people have been overly harsh in some terms, like bringing their fathers and bringing their mothers, and I have seen it myself on social media, and it's a bit cruel, like people's fathers that are dead, years, etc., etc. It is a bit cruel, because again, it's nothing to do with their father, their policy, etc., etc. or Eamon Ryan as a person. I've seen that happen to Mikey Healy-Way, actually. His father, Jackie Healy-Way, take example. Now, my opinion of Mikey Healy-Way has gone down a good bit now in the last few years. So I explain it some other time, but it's gone down the last few weeks. But long story short, you shouldn't be bringing his father into it. It's the same. I'd be very annoyed if I was a politician, my father died, and somebody was bringing it in on issues that, well, I was a politician. It wasn't to do with him. It's not right to do that. It isn't right. I will admit that. But again, at the end of the day, there's nothing the law can do. It's up to people to decide for themselves to what to behave or not on social media. As long as they're not obviously threatening people, that's a different story. When people go around and threaten each other, like you shouldn't do that in general. Threaten somebody's family or threaten somebody's life, because again, at the end of the day, that's what democracy is all about. You speak out and say you shouldn't be going down this route in policy, etc. Should you do a U-turn, you should do this policy. Again, apologies if you can hear that, but no. But again, this is the thing. I will make a video talking about it because the media is so like you see news talk here. They're like, "How is this the case? How is Eamon Ryan people on social media not are saying yes, yes?" Because news talk is just they want to join. We join the Commonwealth. So I don't know how serious of news talk are they? They say we want to rejoin the Commonwealth. We might just have. But long story short, they can't understand it why people are so upset with politicians. They don't seem to fathom it. Because see, they're all just NGOs being paid by the state, etc. Because all that money is coming from the state. Let's be fair. And it's about time that and a study came out yesterday, I think it was, that all the people nearly in Ireland nowadays, modern day Ireland, are getting their news online, etc. So from independent sources, not from the mainstream media. And that's what's spelling doom for these politicians. Is the fact that people can talk among themselves online, do not have to go through the mainstream media, etc., etc. I just turned that up to them.
Ministers with this pack. And it was very disingenuous of Minister McEntee last night, trying to confuse the issue by saying we need migrant workers. Yes, we do. And none of us have anything against migrant workers coming here with the proper documentation and work visas. And yes, we have no problem with people who come here genuinely distressed. But what people are against is people coming in here, getting on a plane somewhere, they have to have a passport, and arriving in here with no passport. And
see that
before the course thing, and told that they can't stay here, but even no ways or means of deporting them. Minister Foley spoke about the Irish people that went abroad as well while ago there. Well, I know about the Irish people that went abroad. My grandmother left Muckers in 1907, and she had to be claimed by her brother, and he had to have accommodation for her, and he had to work for her. My aunts and uncles, the first aunt went out and she had to claim by her uncle, and then she claimed the rest of them as they went, and they had to have jobs for each other. That was what happened there, and don't be trying to confuse the issue. You're being very unfair. But what people, you said, Minister, last night, we don't have any plan. He had no plan. He proved him no plan. He'll give you out things this evening at one arm of the government, and he'll come in along tomorrow morning and pick him up and dump him. That is not a plan.
We're all talking about historical sites. Me talking about something he's not listening.
If he take them to court,
what did you have?
They're told they won't get asylum.
Sorry, I'm just listening to this bit because what the hell was it?
Government and Taoiseach and Taoiseach and the Greens are ramming this hurried bill through this chamber tonight.
Yeah, they are. He's right in saying they are just pushing it in. They don't care about any discussion. It's just fucking true. See, the thing about it is just to stop for a sec. See, the only reason why they're trying to ram it through now, but they didn't do it before the election because they knew it would affect the election.
Minister Garland says maybe 30,000, 20,000 could come. That 30,000 is 600 a week.
That's what I'm saying. 600 a week if this bill, if the European Union, 600 a week could come. Like that'd be insane.
I'm pleading to every deputy here tonight, especially the backbenchers, to vote against this. Because in a short few weeks, you'll all have to go back to the doors again, and the people are totally and absolutely opposed to this against this pact. It can't be right that I have to come here to this chamber to ask for the same concessions for our own Irish people as being afforded to Ukraine refugees, who are getting social welfare, housing, hotels, school transport as their request, 800 tax-free to landlords who house them, who would rent houses to them. They can't do this to carry people.
Yeah, this is simple. It is true, yeah. They're just getting everything handed to them. And no one, the people can't get them here. There's people I know that can't get social welfare on their Irish citizens, so they can't get the full and social welfare. It's just insane. So it's one rule for the and then the others.
But you need to find out. Kelly had the second highest number of.
Yeah, Michael Healy, there's questions about him now. But in fairness, they are speaking out about it, at least. In fairness. So, because compared to the West, the Fianna Fáil, Fianna Gael, they're just kind of sitting there going along with it. Yeah. And he's speaking true, because these people, as I say, the people that I know that are on social welfare, they can't get their full allowance. And people from Ukraine can turn up and just get it. You know, it doesn't make much sense. And same with medical cards. I know people that are entitled to medical cards and they can't get them. And it's just... And it's just the Irish citizens don't try to do more than anybody else in the country.
Able to provide hotel beds and tents. We have no homeless centre even in Killarney. No. Anyone that becomes homeless, they have to go to Tralee with children and all, and they have no transport back to Killarney to their schools. I'm saying to you, that we need to protect our neutrality. We need to protect our sovereignty.
Oh.
Too much blood and different we say things had to happen for
I know, but this is the point I'm making. The Ukrainians just straight away, here you are, off you go. Irish people have to go through hell and back to get it. Like my father's 70s, he has his pension now, the old age pension. And sure, he had to fight to get it. He had to fight to get his medical card. Same with his bus ticket, like they could get on a free bus ticket to go to Dublin or whatever. He had to fight. It wasn't an easy thing. He had to send off so many documents. It was a nuisance. And he didn't get it handed to him. Instead of that, and him worked all his life since he was 14. And they were going to make a big issue out of it. And then this is the thing too about this. For a time when he did come to pension age, back years ago, he didn't pay into state pension because there was no such thing as that back in the fucking 60s. You paid into, like I'm paying into pension now in my job. Take for example, I had to pay into pension so much every week. But see, years ago that was not a thing. So basically, when he came to pension age, he only had a bit paid in because by that time it was on a bit.
But I do say we need to be careful with our language in terms of we need to tell. You're absolutely right. We need to tell the truth, but we need to be careful with our language that we don't incite people, rightly or wrongly. And I correct the minister. I'm sure will correct me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Correct me. My understanding is in respect of this pact, and members will vote whatever way they want. And that's your prerogative. But pact or no pact, Ireland will still have an obligation in international law to allow people who wish to claim asylum come to the country.
But this is not the point to the whole of it. The point is that we won't be able to decide for ourselves. The European Union tell us how many we have to take in, and none of our politicians have the guts to say no. Simple as that. That's the problem. That's the problem we have.
No.
But that's the problem we have. That they won't say no. They can't. They won't refuse.
They won't change it one iota. So what I think is important is just we respect each other.
But that's the issue. That's the issue that it is. It's not about international obligation. It's the issue that we be told. We won't have a say in it. We be told what to do and how to do it and how many to take in. We basically just it'd be a gunpoint, basically. Really. That's what it is.
I welcome the opportunity to speak.
Who is this?
I think it's very important that we have a rule book and a framework that's.
Like, I don't understand we have there's international rules, etc., etc. But what they're planning to do again, 30,000 to bring 30,000 people in every year, etc., etc. If you think it's bad now, it'll be worse. Oh, this fellow from Clare, yeah.
Asylum seeking has been around for many decades. We first saw the mass movement of people during World War.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's just the problem, that they'll be telling you what to do and how many, and if you don't take them in, they're going to fine us to oblivion. That's the problem. They're going to be fined hundreds of millions for each person we don't take in. For each few people, because we have to take in what they tell you to do. So basically, whatever control we have, whatever policy we could make as ourselves,
you can impose penalties. Because at the moment, there seems to be rules but no enforcement. A rule book that doesn't really exist in Europe. I think what we need here is uniform.
But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be up to the European Union back in the day when it was established. It was about a common currency, take for example, and common borders, except European citizens could travel freely within the European Union. nowadays it's the European Union tells countries what to do. That was never the deal. That's what Ireland never signed up for. That we'd be told what to do, and from another country in Brussels, which isn't good because again the only legitimate authority in the country that should be making any law is Dáil Éireann and Shannon Éireann. The European Parliament should have no say in this country what we do. Simple as that. Obviously, there should be regulations on human rights, etc. You couldn't be just going around shooting people. You can't just do that. That's against the Geneva Convention, etc. There need to be conventions like that, of course. But they shouldn't be telling us how many we should take in and what we do. It's a one country at the end of the day, and Dáil Éireann and Dublin is the only authority in the country, and that's the way it should be. Because that was never the deal in the 70s when Ireland joined, that we'd be told what to do and how to do it. There was a common currency, etc., etc. And like an open market, etc., etc. But nowadays you're told all the legislation is coming from Europe. 70% of Ireland's legislation laws are coming from Europe at the moment. It's not coming from Dáil Éireann. So it nearly asked the question, what's the point in having our own politicians when we were just being controlled? So we switched out the British for the European Union, basically. So we got rid of the British, and now we have the European Union. Because it literally is. It's another foreign country taking over, basically. So I don't know what was the point in the War of Independence if this is what we're selling ourselves out for.
This needs to be a fair system. We need a system where if someone comes here fleeing the war in Ukraine...
Yeah, but the fact of the matter, none of them would be willing to say, no, if the European Union wings the Taoiseach in the morning and says, we want to put fucking 200 million people into the country in the morning, the Taoiseach would be like, 100%, we'd be all up for it. Is the fact of the matter they won't say, no, we won't listen to your commands. Like Hungary and other countries would do. They say, no, this is our country, we won't take orders from you. No politician has the guts here to say it, basically. That's in Dáil Éireann at the moment. None of them will be able to tell them whether they're going to shove the European Union. But no, it is enforced because it should be brought to the people. That's as simple as that. Should be brought to the people because it is something that will affect the country and will have a huge effect on the country. Because again, 30,000 people, 600 or so a week, 700, 800 could be turning up on our shows every week. And if you think it's bad now, every town, every city in the country be just full of protects if that's the case. If it does come to pass, and that's what could happen. And it's not scaremongering. It's simply reality. So, I hope not, but it does seem to be the case. Yeah, but the only thing they could do is they could fine you. That's the only thing they do. They'll fine you. I think Hungary at the moment has been fined €1 million a day or something like that for not listening to them. Something like that, but they're still just not listening. They're not going to listen to their commands. Basically. They go when they want to do things. And that's the way it should be. Because at the end of the day, as they keep saying, the European Union was never designed to be a super state that tells the country what to do and how to do it. So obviously, there should be guidelines, like on human rights, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it's up to their own country, the own people of that country to decide what's the policy. The only thing the European Union should be doing is for common travel. You can travel freely within the European Union, European citizens. And for, easy travel of goods and services, etc., from the European Union. That's what it was designed for. And then obviously a common currency, as an example.
But that is what shows the degree and the extent of the robust engagement that occurred right on proper at the committee. We didn't leave it there. We went on to another session, another 3-hour block.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't kind of get it, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. Because I think people are just waiting for the general election. Because a lot of people don't seem to care about the European. Like, I never really cared about the European Union, like the European Parliament. I never really took much interest in it. But I did care about the European, like the local charity politics. But unfortunately, again, I wasn't here. But a lot of people don't care. They rather just vote for the local, like the general election. They don't care about anything else. But at the end of the day, the most important thing nearly is the European elections. That's the most important. Because apparently now the Dáil and the Shannon are just kind of puppets. They're just whatever the European Union tells them to do, they have to do it. So basically, Dáil Éireann and Shannon Éireann that people fought so hard for years ago, the forced Dáil, etc., it's just a puppet show now. Puppets from Brussels playing the strings. That seems to be what it is. And the same with the local town, it's just another puppet show. You're told what to do and what to say, and etc., etc. It's ridiculous.
And they're trying to do so, but the debate finished ahead of the scheduled time because nobody was offered
offering to speak. So I think that.
Give me two. I just had the one for 2 seconds to be back with you. And what's happening?
It was a charade. A line of NGOs in telling us
Oh,
what they
wish.
wanted to stay here, and they're running the country, the NGOs. So it's a pure charade, and this is a further charade.
And it's true.
No,
It's the charade.
the fact of the matter is that the committee held adequate time and only completed its consideration when all members that wished to speak had spoken. And I scanned the room a couple of times and even looked outside to see if there was anybody else. There wasn't. And that's why the committee finished its deliberation. No other reason. And well, they didn't want to keep up with you, perhaps, but that's that might be to your credit. Perhaps you're a busy man. I know that. But anyway, I don't want to personalise, but I do want to just rebut that very strongly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're giving free.
Time,
No,
completely
that's what I'm saying. That's the problem I have.
The other point to make about this is that this is not by any
As I
means
said, but my father,
it
had
might be
they
the
literally
next
go,
one,
they literally fight for it. As an Irish citizen who never left the state. It was a joke. And then, especially about the pension too, thankfully the Celtics prevailed. But they weren't going to give him a pension. That was the thing. After working all his life in the country since he was 14. You know, and again, only an state pension. But again, that's what they were proposing. They were proposing not giving him anything, basically. That he would have to get a job and work all the rest of his life, basically. And him at 70 something, nearly going on 71 now. When he was 65. Like, it was ridiculous. And that wouldn't be uttered if that was a Ukrainian. They wouldn't say to him basically, oh, we're not going to give you a pension. Because that word was uttered. Because they wouldn't dare say that to the Ukrainians. That's what I'm saying. But again, as an Irish person, what did they care? That's what I'm saying.
And I think that it's fair to characterize.
But again, that was a few years ago. But again, it'll be the same thing now. I bet you if I do live to pension age, that'll be the thing. You're an Irish person, you're not entitled to a pension.
Undoubtedly, some are opposed to it. Typically, those coming from what might be from a human rights perspective, because they felt it was unfair or inhumane or lacked dignity. Perhaps the camps at certain borders where people are kept for a while, holding pens before they can be processed. And some people coming from the left found that from a human rights perspective to be undesirable. And I found that to an extent. I do find people on the right using those talking points of people on the left. And again, I think perhaps is that a badge of convenience to find something to say against it.
Let me see. So
it's ironic that it's to be most opposed in Ireland.
Yeah, but no, thankfully all worked out. This is the best thing, because I'd be not happy if it didn't work out. Thankfully, Sets failed. But it all worked out in the end. He got his stuff, and that was the main thing. But again, it was a lot of bullshit. Again, it shouldn't be the bullshit that I had to go through writing letters and sending this off and sending the other thing off. Especially when it came to his free bus pass. Like, you could go on a bus to the hospital in Dublin if you wanted to. It was some load of bullshit. I had to send off many letters about it and many emails. And again, it was you had to fight for it basically to get it. As a citizen, like as I say, 70, so 60 was 60 at the time, pension age. Lived all his life, worked all his life. You know, but he got it in the end, I suppose. That's what I mean. Yeah, so many hoops you have to jump through, and it shouldn't be the case, because again, as soon as they turn up from from Ukraine or from wherever, here's a free medical card right off the bat. We don't care who you are, you know. And we had to go and and then when he got the medical card finally and stuff like that, he had to sign up loads of forms, etc. There's no such thing as that when they arrive here. They're just handed to them and said, enjoy, basically. You know, I just want to show this poll from the UK now. So it does seem like the Conservative Party will be a Labour government. So you see, the Conservative Party is 365. So the Conservatives seem to be going to be wiped out into the next century. Excuse me. Because you see, they're only supposed to, from 365, they're only supposed to have 53 in the whole country in the United Kingdom. So it's going to be a huge Labour majority going by this. And it does seem to be the case because people are not happy with the Conservative Party. But I'm just saying, and again, the Green Party is fucked. The Lib Dems is going to do well, etc. So, but again, it's going to be a huge kick in the arse if they do get it. And hopefully this is what's going to happen to Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. The same thing. They get another huge kick in the arse in the general election. But unfortunately, probably not.
That actually makes it not stronger, but far weaker than the others. And use that analogy to the
so yeah, I talk about this. So I was in Helsinki, as you know. I was in Helsinki last week. You know, this is just down the whole road from where I was. The climate protesters, the Extinction Rebellion. Now, just to say, the thing about it is, and this is the thing I will. The police probably shouldn't have. This police officer probably shouldn't have done this. I wasn't there at the time. I was actually probably on the way up to see what was going on because I was beside him for a few minutes after they got off the road, etc. Because you can see them on the road here. But they were at Parliament. Parliament's down 6 or 7 streets away, and the police facilitated the protest at Parliament. They closed the road, etc., outside Parliament for them to facilitate them. And the week before, they closed the road outside the President's Palace in Helsinki to facilitate them. So long story short, that one up from Parliament, up 6 or 7 streets to the main street, basically, where all the trams and traffic goes, just to cause as much hassle as possible, because it was rush hour traffic. That usually everybody finishes work before 3:30 or so in Finland. So obviously buses and trams are busy, cars are on the road, etc. in the main part of the city, and basically chock-a-block the whole city. And the worst thing about it, again, they didn't plan to go there. They told the police they were going to do this. If they were, the police could have maybe closed the roads and diverted traffic. So that's why it was a big, huge charade when this happened. But as you see, the problem the police had, and the rest of the good few people for the stop and the peace or whatever they call it for not listening to officers' orders. So long story short, as you can see, the amount of police that literally an army of police there. But again, as you see with this woman, she was going back to sit on the road. She wouldn't go. The police told her to get off the road, and she was going back onto the road. The next thing here, so as you see, the cop pushes her back, basically trying to get her back on the footpath. As you see here, it's the woman in the green. But this is the thing. Like they shouldn't be probably on the road because again, the disrupted traffic, etc., because it wasn't a planned protest. That's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to be down at Parliament. But they went there. But I don't know, did the cop mean to do it? As you see, this officer here pushed the other one, but it's the green person. I think that she just lost her balance, etc. But she got up pretty quickly. Like I don't think she was hurt. She got up pretty quickly. But as you can see here, all the buses, hundreds and hundreds of buses lined up because this is the main street. Then the trams too are backed up. So basically, the whole city was chock-a-blocked. So they were doing it intentionally to cause as much harm and annoyance to everybody. And I wouldn't mind, but all these are electric buses and the trams are electric, and and their climate protests are saying we want more climate action, and literally everything's electric. All the public transport's electric, and they're saying we need to do more on climate change. But to be totally honest, but you can see like the trams were all blocked because they blocked the train. So all these people got arrested because they wouldn't move. They were instructed to move many times and they wouldn't move. So that's what was happening. Because you can see they were blocking the tram lines too, and then they were blocking the buses. They were blocking everything. So basically the whole city was chock-a-blocked. Because again, they weren't supposed to be on this street. This is one of the busiest streets in Helsinki. They were supposed to be down at Parliament. And then they took a notion to go up and be a nuisance, basically. Yeah, but I don't know what you think about that. I don't think the police officer meant to do it now. If that was in Galdersheen O'Connor, well, they wouldn't do it to these people. But if they were outside of the direct provision set the tables and the battens to be out to be battering them. Like when I was there for a few minutes around it, just seeing what was up. So before this is probably a few minutes before I came down. Because when I came down, everything was started. Like they were off the road. The police arrested whoever they wanted to arrest. They wouldn't move, and then they went to the grass over here at the park. They went onto the park, as you see, a lot of them did, because the police had a barricade of just a huge line of police officers, about 100 or 200 strong. So, yeah, but again, a lot of them wouldn't move. That was the problem. And they were going back onto the road after being told to go off the road because they're obstructing traffic, etc. But I don't know. The Gaudi here would be probably a lot more fearsome. Like I don't know what they mean to it. This is the thing, and it's what a lot of people asking. It's hard to know. I suppose maybe use a good bit of force, but I don't know. But that was what it is. But compared to Galdersheen O'Connor, just to say, there's many instances of Garda Síochána just literally beating the hell out of old women for standing outside the work provision centres. We've seen that many times, the Garda just beating up old women outside the work provision centres. So I suppose it's not as bad as on Garda Síochána what they did. But, yeah, and then obviously we're just talking about the Extinction Rebellion, etc. There's supposed to be more protests in Helsinki this week. So at least now they have noticed that there's going to be protests, so they can at least accommodate them if they want to sit in the streets, etc., etc. And obviously this is the thing at the end of the day, I'm not saying they don't have a right to protest. Of course they have a right to protest. In any country in the world, people have a right to protest, even though I don't agree with the policy, etc., etc. I think they're just, delusional a bit, some of them. But at the end of the day, they have every right to protest. But the fact of the matter is, they shouldn't have went and done it without getting authorization and trying to negotiate with the police to close the street so people could be accommodated to go other streets. So basically, there would be a huge chock-a-block. Because it was just done purposely to annoy people, basically. That was the thing. And they swapped public order, I suppose. Because, there is limits to, protest, etc., etc. But you can't disrupt public business, etc., etc. But we all go to Helsinki this week to see Tombo. Again, I blame you, Aaron, only. You're to blame for this. You gifted this idea to go to Helsinki. So, as Fiona said, I'm lucky we were left. But, I don't know. I don't think she'd be arrested in Helsinki now. I don't think so, because the police seem to be pretty chill. Unless you disobey them and an order, a lawful order, etc., etc. Because I wouldn't kind of happy with them not listening to them. But that was it. There was nothing really else after that.
6 to 12 months and upper age under Dublin 3. Why are we not doing that? Minister, I have a number of questions. The first one relates to Denmark. Also have the opportunity to opt in, but has decided not to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Denmark has the opportunity, but Ireland has the opportunity, and we won't opt out. Like Denmark, it's a quite difference. And again, Denmark is a social democracy. It's supposed to be really a left-wing country. And they care more about their borders than Ireland does. And they want to protect their borders, etc. And they want to decide for themselves in Copenhagen what is done in their own country and their borders. Yeah.
As an example of how bad things can be. But that makes no sense. The UK isn't in the EU.
So other news. Do you want to hear the good news?
The pact isn't in place, so any UK outcomes are irrelevant. So, Minister, why is it essential for us to opt in?
Yeah, the breach of many things. But again, they won't go to the public. At least if they went to the public, they could say, because they would have to go into the Constitution. Because again, the Lisbon Treaty too prevents. But again, there's a lot of things behind it. It shouldn't be allowed to go ahead, and it should be against. And if they really wanted to just try and be constitutional, if it went to the public, that's the only way it could be.
Is it possible to opt into certain parts of the pact?
I wouldn't opt into anything. Wouldn't opt into one bit of it. And the worst thing about it, I don't think there's ever an option to opt out. That's the worst thing about it. Do you want to hear some good news?
Tell me where in the pact that is made clear. My next question relates to the fact that we're in a common travel area in the UK, which is largely why we didn't opt in initially. This still stands, and you told us, Minister, that about 80% of our IP applicants came across the border.
But it isn't true.
So how will the migration pact impact on 50 to 80% of IP persons who arrive from the UK?
Yeah, so a good friend, Santa Marin, has been appointed to a board. So that's great. So that's the good news. Isn't it great? So, yeah, as you say, great news. As everybody agreed, that's the best news all day. That's all.
The EU on one hand and the UK on the other. My question is, will this pact always
great deal for democracy
to return asylum seekers to the UK if the EU does not consider the UK
Consider.
a safe country. Minister,
Dublin's not safe. Like, we should just go around saying Dublin's not a safe country. It isn't a safe country, but it's not a safe city. So can we not just say they're in danger here and send them back?
of legislating for the marriage pact, but there's one essential difference. Our discussions this evening, if we say yes, there's no divorce.
No, unfortunately not. Just Patrick, yeah.
To this pact, Minister, I think in this country we are held in.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I didn't get the public information, but I don't think it changed. But it's only a board kind of thing. For the in association with the Tony Blair Institute, so it's not really it's up and big, you know.
Guarantee you in a few years' time, as the rules change and as the EU changes,
That makes any sense.
and decisions are made.
But still happy to see standards still getting things.
Blaming them in Europe, but in actual fact, when we had the chance to keep driving our own way and doing our own thing, we've decided to hand it all away.
Yeah, that's just you say near the head. Like, we had it all and we threw it all away and we handed it all. Like, we didn't throw it away, we handed it literally away. We literally give it a hat in hand to the European Union. Like, that's the thing. They didn't ask. They asked us and we give it hat in hand. Same with all the national. We said we'll just give it a hat in hand to the European Union.
The pact in the line of, if someone has been sent to another country, you have to guarantee education, you have to guarantee their well-being and their accommodation, you have to guarantee the likes of the health services. There is so
the amount of fights happening in this country now.
That, to be honest about it, it's nearly impossible to guarantee all you have to do in this pact.
Sorry, give me a second.
On top of that, Minister, if you do decide to make a decision on accepting somebody, there is an awful lot in family members or maybe not family.
Oh, I got the idea. You seen the letter I got from Helsinki? It was basically from what was it called? It's the tourism board in Helsinki, basically. Basically, just taking me for comment, basically. And wishing me, hoping that I'll come back.
Resources can be always put into it. We can do everything that's in that pact without signing up to it. And we should have done this already. Many of us in this stall spoke about it over the last 6 to 8 months of what we should do to speed it up. But we haven't done that, and we seem to be hell-bent on now giving Europe the power.
Yeah, well, literally, they are hell-bent. Like, they're fucking obsessed of giving everything to the European Union. Yeah, like you just said, Sean, he just said the same thing as you did. Who? Oh, here's Hildegarde Knockton.
I'm going to extend this debate into next week and
what?
The 3 bills that are scheduled this evening in relation to the arrangements for the proposal. In relation to the arrangements for the motion proposed approval by the All-Ireland of the regulations and the directive of the European Parliament and of the Council on International Protection, Asylum and Migration, it's proposed that the arrangements shall be modified to the extent...
Oh, yeah, now give me a gift. Yeah, I'll show you now in a second. There's actually something that she has said to me along with it.
On the motion and the amendment thereto shall be adjourned immediately prior to the Minister's concluding response.
We continue
Next week. That's scheduled again.
Is that agreed by the House?
What is happening here? Yeah. The same, but next week.
It's a tricky loop because I honestly believe that there might be shocking numbers tonight, the government, and they're afraid to hold the vote. I believe that there was no consultation with the Whips, now with me anyway.
Oh, so they're trying to not have the vote tonight.
Issue.
So they're not having the vote, so they want to have it next week.
For 3 weeks during the election.
So that, no, they're actually backing down a bit.
And now they're trying to fool all of us here too.
It is agreed that we will defer. The business proposal, what?
See, I see the reason why, because they haven't got the numbers. So a lot of them are probably away.
Be present here in the chamber. That was a message sent through all the webs earlier on. Who are the people that have indicated to speak? Well, he's here, yeah. But
So they're trying to defer the vote. Trying to defer it. The government, not the opposition. The government did it.
Okay, well, we don't agree to it then. Don't agree.
You don't
so
agree to give them Deputy McSherry sometime?
Just to be clear, that there was to be a vote tonight on this matter. What was agreed by the Taoiseach is that they would provide more time if members presented themselves to be here to speak. So right now, Deputy McSharry is here to speak. I want to know who are the members that have indicated that.
So they're not going to have the vote.
We're supposed to have a vote on this tonight, and
I think that the Chief Whip has knowledge of others who wish to contribute.
There are, Ken Corley, others who have indicated and expressed interest in speaking on this debate, and that's why I want to schedule it again next week to give people ample time to discuss it.
Yes. Okay.
I know they don't have the numbers. They don't have the TDs. I think they have them, but not there. They're not there. I think that's the reason why they're there.
Because they're coming to playing games, yes.
They're playing games. Yeah.
Well, deputies, let's now think about this. The public
That's the first time I ever heard of my life.
We've been asking for weeks, quite rightly in my view, for more time to discuss this. The whip has come in now and says, you're going to give us more time. And now you're going to say, no, we don't want more time.
what was agreed was that more time would be provided if members showed up here. So,
but I think they're using the excuse that they don't have the number, they don't have the TDs to vote. Fianna Fáil, they have them away. Have them away. That's what I'm saying. They're not there. I don't think there's Fianna Fáil TD. There's none of them there. I think they're not there. So they probably won't have the numbers to win it. That's what I'm saying. That's what they're probably doing.
I'm not going to ask the staff to be here until those unearthly hours. It's not agreed. So we're going to have a vote. Okay. What do you think?
Yes, I've been here all evening watching for the final, and I did the clerks here asking how many more speakers. Why aren't they on the list? We're always told that our names have to be down on the list to speak. This is a charade. It looks like a charade, walks like a charade. It is a charade.
Look. People come up to me constantly and ask me, can they get in? And I
can't get in. But they must not have the numbers, because why would they be trying to push it back?
What is due to happen?
Like something's not right. Something's wrong with the government now at the moment. I do something from the High Court maybe. The High Court maybe put a stop to it. Because as I say, they're trying to get an injunction to stop the Dáil from voting on it. So maybe that came true. I don't know.
Now I'm quite relaxed about this.
It's funny all of a sudden they're like, no, we don't want to have it tonight. We have it next week. So
extent what might be expected, but it seems to me.
But no, that's the first time ever I've heard that in the Dáil chamber, that we don't want to have the vote now, even though they pushed it through the wham the through.
Generosity. And in order to come back next week, have a 2-minute debate. We will not be here till 1 a.m. Kilcorda, because after Minister McSharry, if a single other name could be provided, I would be very surprised. I'm quite relaxed about this, but this is some people I think call it virtue signaling. It is, to me, a gesture. Now, if the whip has additional names, I'm sure we can hear them.
Yeah, it must be, because why they don't want to have it now? So unless the High Court has told them to stop it for a moment. Because that's what they're trying to do. They're not saying about voting tonight next week. They're trying to adjourn it to next week. So I don't know.
Made a decision, but wanted to know the names of the people who were potentially going to speak if the time was anything. That's never happened, and it's not going to happen now. No. Point of order, yes.
A valid point of order.
Yes.
Well, I think it's a valid point of order. You can tell me whether we're allowed or not. What's going on here this evening with the deferral of the vote, and this is...
That's the first I ever heard of it in my life.
Is that the government are not happy that they have enough numbers here.
Yeah, that's it. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the man. They don't have a huge number of TDs. There's not enough of them. There's no Fianna Fáil TDs there. There's only some of them. They don't have the numbers. They don't have it. That's the problem. That's what they're trying to join, because it's they're probably off swanking off someone. That's right, swanking off.
The reality is we're going on after this and a schedule to go on to votable business. So I presume everybody who should have people here to vote are going to be here to vote. Now, can we? Do you want to call? Are you calling a vote? No, this. Jeez. Now, Chucky, if I have the Tarishkina Abbey, or Deputy Durkin.
I have indicated a wish to speak on this important subject, and several other of my colleagues who haven't spoken.
Yeah, they don't have them. They don't have them. So that's what I'm saying. That's what they won away. I did that. The High Court on to them about, because the lawyer woman, you win would go. She's put an application into the High Court about it. So I presume that's what it is. Because I never heard of it in my life, the government, because they wanted to wham this through the House of the Oireachtas. They wanted to have it out before today. So something must have happened in the background or something like that. Because that's the first time ever I've seen this happen, that they said we're going to join the vote.
I just don't think it's really clear what we're voting on.
I don't know. Unless there's some like unless it's the High Court that's saying they shouldn't have until next week.
And the members opposite are opposing that proposal, so they don't.
So it might not be actually what I said earlier on. It might be trouble actually.
Conspiracy is onto that and saying there's a reason, some ulterior motive. That's not appropriate.
If I might on a point, right, and I appreciate that the government were prepared to allow me to speak, and I very much.
Oh, just make sure you control yourself.
In fairness to everybody here, and a lot of us have been around these houses for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I presume too, because we're going to the High Court. Unless the High Court has said that they can't do it. I don't know, because again, they haven't said what it was. They said they're joining it, so they didn't say what was. They give more people time to talk. They didn't want people to talk. That's the thing. So I don't know.
It could have been decoupled.
So I don't know.
From pushing it on until there were more generous government members again.
That's literally it. There's not enough of them there. That's the problem. It's just complete charade.
Wish to prolong this particular debate. If a member or members wish to speak, and they're entitled to speak, and have their wishes adhered to, there is no game in this house.
Yeah, because there's not enough Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. There's Green Party. There's not enough of them there. There's nobody really there from the government. So it might not pass. Like it wouldn't probably pass, but it'd be close. It probably would only have been 4 or 5 in the difference, and they don't want that. Because all the opposition are there. That's what I'm trying to say. No government. They'll go half the government probably not there.
And I welcome the extra time now proposed by the chief.
Okay, I had assured Deputy McSharry, who had indicated to me that he wanted to speak, the time would be made available to him. You are now indicating, Deputy, that you want time. It is 5 to 8, and we must conclude at 8 o'clock.
Fuck, you can stay there overnight.
Respond.
Like Jesus, well, like it's not going to kill them to stay there for an extra
It
hour.
is physically impossible.
Physically,
to conclude the business within the timescale set out.
just stay extra. Fuck's sake, go on.
The chief whip.
Well, they'll probably get all the TDs there. So I don't know. Maybe it's better to have it for a week later.
I am certainly not content to continue this to a point.
No, it's all the better. There'll be more debate about it. So maybe it's all the better. But it shows that the government are not comfortable with it at the moment. The government
is 12 a.m. Now, I am not prepared to stand over a situation in which, conscious of the fact that if we go on with this debate until say 12 or 12:30, the staff who work here will be here for an additional hour afterwards, and we're not right in putting that burden on people who have planned their week and their working day.
Say
yes, please.
Thanks, Councillor.
But maybe it's all the better. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that we probably need another week.
But last the time it's scheduled. So I'm proposing an amendment to the government proposal that we make 1 more hour available for those who wish to avail of this to take it up. That's my amendment. And if that's not agreed, unfortunately, we can't agree to the motion.
Yes, Matthew.
Yes, Matty.
I want to say, we are concerned, our group, about the late hours for the staff. It's crazy, it's ridiculous, both nights this week. But this tasteful game was hidden during the election, I told you 3 weeks ago. You saw the rush to us.
Yeah, it was like the worst. It's only after the election they're washing it through.
And they were getting on the next on the doors, they postponed it disgracefully and hid it and buried it, brought it back then tonight. And this is a further extension of that game here tonight.
Well, it's probably better that it is, because then there could be challenges through the courts, etc. So it's probably a blessing in disguise. So I'm not going to cry about it. But it's the first thing this is the first I've ever heard about it. Bills that were supposed to be voted on, they're not.
So I would assume that we then put the vote, we have a vote on the Chief Whip's recommendation. So the chat the target the parish can be stop. In a kind of near style of grilling case.
Photo. Yeah. I haven't photo. But we see what happens. I didn't actually expect this to be done. I hardly doubt they will go ahead tonight. I'd say the government don't have the numbers. They're off somewhere. And they won't do it. They won't do it regardless of what it is. Which is all the better. I think it is a blessing in disguise, because it gives us time for people to bring high court judgments and stuff. As I said, there's a judgment before the High Court as we speak at the moment. I don't know, is that something to do with it? Maybe that because as I say, the Lisbon Treaty, etc., and then the Constitution have to take that into account too, because it is a breach of definitely the Lisbon Treaty. And if they were going to do it, they should have brought it to the public vote. The public should decide. But they done none of that. They want to wham it through. But it's just a charade, really. Yeah, like this, like the government TDs. Now there's opposition there. Wherever they are, I don't know. Yeah, like there's loads of questions about it. Also, there's apparently something happened in Mountjoy Square in Dublin. Apparently, some man was running around naked in Mountjoy Square. In some part of Dublin, in the city, I say. Huge oak forest, yeah. I would. You talk about forests. I've seen too many of them this week. Or last week, I've seen too many of them. Okay, apparently that I don't know. That's what I'm getting at the moment. I don't know who it is, but I look. There's a video online about it at the moment. I don't know. Did anybody hear anything? I'm just going by this report again. I don't know. He probably is him, or he's lost the plot. Yeah, because there's not a lot of them there. Like I see the opposition to that. So we might be hearing to. We see anyway. We see what happens. I highly doubt they will say we want to have it tonight because the government are the ones that are crying about it at the moment. Which I do to be totally honest. I know it was complaining about, but it's the first time I've ever seen that happen. But it's probably better off because again, there'd be more time to oppose it. There'd be more time to have judgments and stuff in the High Court about it. So it's all the better, really. Yeah, what's become a caveman? Yeah, that like this is extraordinary. I seen Polly Tully there on that. Yeah, it's just mayhem. Yeah, so we wait and see what happens. But they must not have the numbers. They're using the excuse, unless it's just because the High Court thing. So I don't know. Like they're saying they want more time to debate it. Like let's be fair. They rammed it through. It's only a few days after the election. They're ramming it through now as we speak. They want to just push it through the door in the Senate. So I don't think they care about debate because again, as Matthew McGrath said, was hidden for a while, and then all of a sudden it's coming out, and they say they want to debate it more. You know, and they don't want to debate. They don't want people to be debating it. Yeah, so the government, the chief of the Hildegard Naughton, said the government want to defer the vote into next week. So this is the first time ever I've told the government don't want to have the vote tonight in the EU Migration Pact. They don't want to have it. So they must not have the people there. They don't have the TDs there to vote for it. So they don't have their own crowd there. So that's what's happened. So we have to see this. So they're having a vote now. Should they have it? So there seems to be more opposition than there's the government. I don't know what all the government TDs are, but they're all fucking probably hiding somewhere. But there's a vote basically taking place now to see should they have it tonight. Yeah, that's why we're here. I wanted to see what. But I thought we just ran through. But the government are having an issue with it. The government is not the opposition. The government are saying we need more time to debate it. Whatever that means, because again, they don't really care about debate in this country. So there's something in the background. I do because again, there's up in the High Court now at the moment. This as I said, it's a Lister woman. I can never think of her name, but you said she's bringing the case to the High Court. They're saying that this is unconstitutional and against the Lisbon Treaty, etc., and trying to get a public vote on it. So unless that maybe is playing the role, because it probably should be put to the public. It shouldn't be whammed through Dáil Éireann. But again, they don't want to risk it after the last referendum. They don't want to risk what could happen after. Because it probably would be the biggest defeat within the history of the state if they did do it. And it probably would bring down the government because the government doesn't have long left. It's literally on its last legs at this stage. Especially with migration, it's on its last legs. I've seen some. I didn't see him particularly. I've seen a few of the other senators and stuff talking about it. We'll see what happens because I never seen this in the history of my life. I've seen the opposition disagreeing with it, But I never see the government are proposed. The government are the ones proposing this legislation and saying that we should vote for it. Again, they're the people who want it, So suddenly they all turn up. But there's not a lot of them. There's more opposition. I can see them on the screen. There's more opposition. There's a few of them missing. There's a few government TDs missing, so it might not be close. But there must be, because why would they find they were extremely opposed to having it? Yeah, there must be only probably one or two in the difference, because there seems to be a lot of them not there. Like on the government side, there's a few there on the opposition side, but there's probably not a lot there from the government. They're worried. They probably are worried about something, because there seems to be a good lot of empty chairs on it. Maybe they might all turn up, but because that's the first time I ever heard the government saying, "Oh, we don't want to have it." Basically, that's literally what they said. What the next week? So I don't know. Yeah, not even that. Willie O'D. Do you remember Willie O'D? And let's see, would he keep his pledge? He said with the EU migration pact, he wasn't forward, and the hate speech bill, etc., etc. So let's put pen to paper, Willie. You vote against Fianna Fáil Fine Gael now, but he won't do it, because he guess what happened to be kicked out of the party. So he won't do it. He won't lose his job over it. Again, if he done that, it'd be a big, huge kick in the hole for him, because again, he's literally part of the furniture in Fianna Fáil. He's all right. Yeah, he's all right. I don't have much issue with him now. Yeah, but I don't know with the next election. But I think the general election, I think, it'd be different than the local town European election. It'd be a bit different, I say. Yeah, but I don't think none of them will, because none of them ever. And I've said it to my local Fianna Fáil TDs about in terms of legislation and stuff like that. And none of them were budged. They're too afraid of losing their position if Fianna Fáil being kicked out of the party. They're too afraid of it. So, but none of them are going to willing to stand up and be counted. None of them are willing. That's what's happening. Because they're just too afraid to stand up and be counted. And they know to be kicked out of their post in Fianna Fáil. Yeah, none of them will. But Willie O'D has said it about the hate speech. But the hate speech bill is dead, basically. The hate speech bill is gone. It's not going to be brought before the Oireachtas. It's too much opposition to it on every side, from every direction. There's just no way they can ram it through in the last few months of this stall. It's simple as that. They can't do it. It's impossible. There's too many red flags with it, etc., etc. But they probably may be able to ram this through. But again, the government itself is having issues with them. But I say there's some of them that are not there, because that's the reason why they don't have huge numbers. So I say there's some of them that are just not there. Yeah, we see what happens. Yeah, but they're not doing it. I don't think they would do it before the election, because they're not suicidal now. Let's put it that way. Because they know if they bring that in, it's the end of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. Regardless, if they do bring it in before the election, it's the end of them. And the same if they bring it in after, it's going to be the end of them. They're not going to exist after. They can guarantee that. I'm making my personal objective to make sure that, and along with many people in the country, make sure that the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael will never be in power again after that. Because it's very draconian, the legislation about it. They can seize your laptop, etc. It's like something out of back in the 30s, basically. It's not about. It's basically about shutting people up, basically. So people that don't want people to speak. That's basically what it is. Now, there's some things you could say there is hate speech, etc., etc. You can argue about that in some regards, but in terms of what they want to do and what they say in legislation about seizing people's laptops, etc., etc., and for sharing memes, if you have memes on your laptop or whatever, it's all draconian. Really, it's about shutting people up, basically. Because again, the same thing as I said earlier on, but William and Ryan, they can't silence people on social media. They can't control social media. They can control the mainstream media. They control the newspapers, but they can't control social media, and they hate that, they despise that, and they want to do that. That's what they want. They want to silence people and to make people be quiet. They don't want that. They want to be criticized. It was that. We're going down a dark path. It's clear to be seen. And it's not, and again, especially when you hear Pauline O'Reilly saying about it, for the common good. But it never was explained. Nobody ever sat down and explained what is the common good. Like, what's the common good? For the common good. Literally something that literally the fellow in Germany said back in the night. It's all for the common good. And Stalin said, we're doing this for the common good. But what's the common good? Who's the common good? Who does it benefit? Again, these have never been answered. Especially when you hear that kind of thing. It's for the common good. Yeah, 50 is... Yeah, like... It's just insane. Like, they could just say, we're going to seize your laptop for any reason. They probably could use it again. It can be abused in 100 billion ways. That's why there's so much opposition to it. Because it can be abused in 100 billion ways. It can literally be draconian. It would literally be something on a different planet, like to us. Something that never been ever introduced in the history of the state. Like, the only thing that could really compare to it is the COVID legislation and the emergency powers back in the 30s, back when the Second World War happened, the Emergency Powers Act. During the emergency, as they would call it here. Yeah, we was talking about Joe Finnegan too. I seen that earlier on. Another fellow that probably Joe Finnegan. We're not saying anything about Joe Finnegan, but not the most best person. Again, it's just goes to show the radio and stuff like that. They never will criticize the government. And that's why people use social media to show how angry they are with politicians, because the newspapers, the mainstream media, don't listen to people. So that's the thing. They use one side of the story. And they pick and choose who they talk to, etc., etc. Even though, again, everybody should have their voice, of course. It'd be a very sad world of one side. And again, it is a very sad world at the moment because only one side of every debate is being heard by the mainstream media. They're picking and choosing who they let talk, etc., etc. We see what happens. I know they're taking their time. I know. There's a few empty chairs. I know there's a few empty chairs on the government side. Yeah, with the Green Party are going to be. There's one thing guaranteed in the next election, because we've seen in the council election, they lost half of their council seats. The Green Party, they're going to be annihilated in the general election. They're only supposed to have one seat. They have 7 seats at the moment, I think, and they're only supposed to have one after the next election. There's people are determined to get rid of this Green Party, particularly farmers, as you know, because they're going to destroy farming. They're out to get rid of farmers. They're out to kill all the cows, like, for example. They're out to destroy rural Ireland. And that's what they're going to be made sure. People are going to make definitely sure that the Green Party will be destroyed. And so they should be. And Eamon Ryan's taking leave before that happens. Because again, they lost half of those seats in the councils. And Eamon Ryan famously said a few months ago before the election, we would have a Green Party council elected to every constituency in the country. Here we are.
Sorry, excuse me. Business proposal on the motion. It's proposed approval by Dáil Éireann of the regulations and directive of the European Parliament and of the Council on International Protection, Asylum and Migration. The question is that the business proposal be agreed to, and on that question,
a division has been challenged.
Keller Slow, Mr. Hildegarde Loughlin, and Deputy Marco Kovacic, Neil, Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, and Deputy Patty McGrath.
There's a few of them there. Actually, more of them came in and must have drove them by helicopter. Oh, there's actually a few of them not there. Actually. Fucking that, what do you call that fellow with the World Economic Forum civil? What do you call it? Well, he was talking there a while ago. What do you call it? I can never think. I even said about him. I was giving a fuck about him earlier on. Yeah, there's a lot of them not there. There's a good few empty seats. Particularly on the government side more than anything. No, there's actually they're coming in. They're probably doing votes for each other. Not Schwabs. He's a member of the. What do you call him? He's an Irish. He's an independent. He's basically Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. What do you call him? He was talking out of his body head. Get to give him. He was talking earlier on. Did anybody here that was at the beginning of the stream? Do you remember was giving out a fuck about him? I think the government has it, but the government has it. It's not Klaus Schwab. No, I know who Klaus Schwab is, but there'll be somebody else in place of Klaus Schwab. Even though, again, all of them might as well be Klaus Schwab. So not Coveney. I know who Simon Coveney is. He's an independent. He's an independent by name. Independent. What do you call it? He's in the front row of the opposition. What do you call him? Fucking what do you call it? I can never think of his name. What do you call it? I even said him. I was giving a fuck a while ago about him. I can never think of him. See, I'm all flustered now with this. I wasn't expecting that to be done. What we're going to do. So, he's Noah's up, and I think it is. He's not into. I know who Patrick Tobin is now. I'm not that gone. He's an independent. He's independent. I can never do. I look it up now because I can't remember. He's not. I know what the into is. I'm not gone already. You know, like I know Pedro Turbina's party. He's an independent. I know he's an independent, but he always votes with the government. What do you call it? Yeah, but there's some of them not there. Actually, some of them not there. There's a few seats empty. There's some of them not there. There must be a way somewhere. Like, do you remember I was giving out with the World Economic Forum? I was like, would he not put an Irish flag on instead of fucking the big circle? I look up now. As soon as I see his name, I know it. Because I was giving out I wouldn't mind, but I was giving out. I know who he is. I don't like him, to be told, Anthony. I think he should be fucking in the World Economic Forum, to be told, in the Irish Parliament. No, I know who Michael Lowy is. It's not Michael Lowy. Give me a second. I know, because it was... Where in the name of God and all that's holy. He's independent. Like, I'm trying to figure it out because I actually said about this. Is the worst thing about it. I actually said about it earlier on. That's the worst thing about it. I actually said and sat down and said it. Yeah, because I wouldn't mind, but I generally was giving out because he was speaking earlier on. I was giving out fuck about him. I sat here and I give that fuck. Like he's basically he's a government shill. I'm just trying to figure it out, huh? Yeah, I'm just trying to. I can't even think of it. That's the worst part of it. He's an independent anyway. I know he's not part of trouble. He's an independent. He has the big World Economic Forum sign on it. Usually that's. I know what they call. Oh, it's going to deny me because I genuinely was giving out absolutely fuck about him earlier on. Like I tore shreds out of him earlier on for being a government shoe. See, this has all confused me now with this vote and that, and I've been up in the head about it.
Neil Shaska Hook near Stain Ega on Kestrich. The question is carried.
Yes, carried.
So is carried. Now, that means Deputy McSherry, you get your 5 minutes.
So they're going to have it next week. That's what it means. So they're going to have it next week. So that's what's going to happen. It was carried. So it's going to be happening next week, folks, not tonight. So the government, but I don't think it was by much now. They didn't. I can never fucking think of what do you call him? Give me a second. So what the vote means, just to say, so it's going to happen next week. I don't know whether. Oh, that Dennis Naughton. That's who he is. Dennis Naughton. That fucker. Dennis Naughton. Yeah, that's who. That was who it is. Sorry, is that Dennis Naughton? Because every time you fucking see him, he's a World Economic Forum. But Dennis Naughton, that's who it is. He voted for the government there. He voted with the government. He always fucking votes with the government. He called himself an independent. I call him a fucking shill. Yeah, he's basically fucking every time fucking everything government he votes with them. And he calls himself an independent.
Those leaving, please clear the house quietly. Deputy McSherry, sir.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much indeed. Just to say at the outset, thanks to government for facilitating this time. Whenever the vote
Dennis Naughton, the biggest government shit out. Sorry, but I couldn't think of it. See, I got all confused. I didn't think that was going to happen. So it's going to be next week. So that's good. So at least there's time to stop it. So that way.
Some of us are old enough to remember the Amsterdam Treaty in '98, which we voted for, and our 2 outings on Lisbon in 2008 and 2009. It's worth noting that we looked for certain things in that, and we got to ask ourselves, what has changed since then?
So the government won but the government didn't win by much. Just to say, the government didn't have the numbers. There's a lot of them missing. It was 74 for the government, 74 Tar, and Neil was 68. There was some Sinn Féin missing. There was 2 Sinn Féin TDs missing, and there was 2 independents missing. and some of the Labour Party and the Social Democrats. So they could have actually won if there was more, because all Sinn Féin, in fairness, now they voted against it. They could have actually had it tonight because the government didn't have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 government TDs missing. There's 10 of them gone. They're not there. They're gone. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, let me see. 1, 2, 3. There's 16 opposition TDs not there from many parties. So again, and if them fuckers that fucking knew like that fella there, if he would have got a bit of balls, and again the other TDs didn't either. The independents, there's 3 in the back too that are all for Fianna Gael and Fianna Fáil. If any of them would have got a bit of balls, they could have actually done it tonight, and the government would have probably lost. And the other ones were there too. The government would have lost, and it would have been voted down. It's just they must have got some of them from somewhere, because they didn't have the biggest majority. That's what I'm saying. They didn't have because it's only 74 to 60. Usually be 80. Like usually it's a bit higher than that. Basically, it's still very close. There's a few votes in the difference. But it's the fact of the matter that the independents, particularly independents, that fellow I was talking about there, he could have literally Dennis Naughton. He could have literally voted against, and the government would have had less. And then the other independents, there was other independents at the back. They could have voted against the government, then the government would have been in huge trouble because they would have had to have the vote tonight. If that was the motion there, they have to vote tonight, and the government would have had to find the TD somewhere. But yeah, it's a good thing. I suppose it's a blessing in disguise that's been deferred into next week, which is a good thing. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. So yeah.
Today is sitting at cabinet then. When in Brussels it is determined, actually, we feel that of the 2.5 billion people who wish to migrate north, Ireland are in a position.
Right, so
given the low density of population.
I think I've enough to listen to that for now because I thought the vote would be tonight and stuff. So yeah, I think we live with that. But I suppose it's a blessing in disguise. Let's put it that way. But it's a shame that the other opposition wasn't there, because if they were there would have been trouble. If all the opposition was there and then the independents voted against the government, which they should have a bit of balls and do it. And if Willie O'Deed or some of them there from Fianna Fáil would have grew a bit of balls and voted against the government would have been in huge trouble. But none of them are willing to do it. That's what I'm saying. Even the independent Dennis Naughton, he doesn't have the balls to go against the government. He doesn't have the guts to go against them. He's too afraid he's getting money behind the back of the shop. Doesn't have the balls. If they did, the government would have been in huge trouble there. If all the independents that are so-called independents, if they would have voted against the government, they would have been in trouble, because they would have had the vote tonight, and there's 10 government TDs that are not there, and there's 16 opposition TDs that are not there too, which should be there. And again, I think this is one of the most important votes, more than if it was something to do with fucking fixing a few potholes or something like that. Even though it is important on the local level, of course. But this is it would have huge impact on the country's sovereignty, etc., etc. So Neely would say there's no excuse needed for any TD to be not there. Apart of the government ones, they could stay away if they want to. But the worst thing about next week, if it does go to vote, all the government TDs are going to be there, because they know that they were very lucky this time. Because none of if some of the opposition TDs just would have turned up, and then if the independents then is not to grow a bit of balls and decided, fuck this, no, I'm going to vote against. And then the other ones joined in too. And then some of the Fianna Fáils objected and said, we won't stand over it. As Willie O'Deed has said, he won't vote for the EU Migration Pact. So did he or did he not? And then the hate speech really said definitely would not vote for that. So is he going to have the balls to do it? Or same with the rest of the Fianna Fáils. I would say if they ever want to save those seats and save their own skin in the next election, what they should do is vote against. That's what they should do. If they want to save their own skin, that's what they should do. Because that's how they're going to save their seat and save their own skin, if they go against the party. Because in the next election, they're going to be set back to the Stone Age. Hi, Part 91. Oh. Yeah. Oh no, but it is a blessing in disguise because again, as I say, there's the thing before the High Court. As I say, yeah, wish so. But we see what happens there because again, it might put a stop to everything because they might actually be forced if the judges are not up to their own house, basically, they might be able to say there has to be a referendum if they're going to pass it, and that would fuck them over as up in face. But let's be fair, all the judges are controlled by Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. You know, they're going to disagree with whatever. And the same with the president. He's not going to say this is unconstitutional, this shouldn't be allowed. They're going to sit down and shut up and say nothing. So, it'd be unfortunate if we did live in a democracy where judges actually had the balls to stand up to the government. Yeah, they're in bed with the government. They're basically in the same bed. They're one and the same, basically. They're not going to stand and say this is against the Irish Constitution. You have to have a referendum on before they do it. None of them are willing to say it. Simple as that. They know it's against it, but none of them are willing. The same with the president. But it's unfortunate. I know I give Sinn Féin so, but if they were there tonight, if the Sinn Féin opposition was missing, and then the Labour Party and probably some Social Democrats, if they were there, and because there was 10 government TDs not there, so again it was very close. Again, it's very close vote. But the government would have been fucked unless they would have got them there within an hour. They would have been fucked. But I say they must have scrambled them from somewhere. A few extra TDs must have gotten by helicopter. Probably got a private jet to the door. Eamon Ryan probably was in fucking, God, he's probably been having dinner in Paris with some woman, and he's been scrambled by a jet back to Ireland to the vote. Yeah, like that's probably what happened. He got on his bike from Paris and he flew all the way over to Ireland for the vote because they must have got some of them from somewhere. Because I say there must have been nobody nearly there. So, yeah, but I do think it's a blessing that this guy's hopefully something good will come from it. On the bicycle shop, he probably no wonder all the bicycles fell apart. I say all the bikes fucking combusted. But anyway, that was certainly interesting. Anyway, I didn't expect this, but hopefully maybe next week there'll be more trouble for the government. Yeah, all in the same bed. I know, we're all in the same big bed. Yeah. Yeah. It was this is the thing. The Green Party, just brief talk about it in the video soon. But this is the thing. The Green Party would never understand. We're not going to be like Denmark or the Netherlands, or even so much Finland, Helsinki. Take because a lot of people on their bikes in Helsinki, etc., etc. That's not going to happen here. It is not going to happen here. People ride with their cows, etc. Particularly in rural Ireland, probably not feasible. So that's never going to happen. Just people going around on bikes all the time, every day of the week. Not going to happen. In the Netherlands and stuff, it's been the culture for years. In same Scandinavian, they like getting no exercise. So not going to happen here. Suppose that. And they won't be able to force it because they can't change people's behaviours. They simply can't do it. If people want to do it, they will do it. And if people don't want to do it, they won't do it. They can't really dictate to people what to do and not to do. It's the same with smoking and drinking. I would be people against people smoking and drinking, obviously, because it's more healthy for you not to drink and smoke. But at the end of the day, it's your own life. It's your own choice. Nobody can really force you, I think, to do it. I know it's for young people, we should be not encouraging them, obviously, until they're 18, until they can make their own decisions. That should obviously be the case, and it is the case, thankfully, but it's not enforced, obviously. But, but after they get to 18, it's their own decision. If they want to ruin their lungs or whatever, it's their own life. It's the same with bikes and stuff. But anyway, we'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back probably. I don't know. We might do a stream. There's a few things of what to do. We see, but definitely Saturday. But we might do one Thursday, tomorrow, or maybe Friday. We see how we get on. Now the videos from Finland will be soon out. There's a lot of editing to do on them. We have to force one out soon. Probably within next week. It's going to be probably 20 minutes or so long. It's still a lot of editing to do. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff to put together, etc., etc. So I'm taking Davey's helping me out with it. So thank you, Davey, for that too. If he's here at the moment, if he's not here, then I'm very thankful. But So we will try and get that part out by next week. Hopefully, maybe the weekend. We see how we get on. We're not rushed too much with it. So be patient with it. There's a lot of footage. We're not a lot of footage, but the first video there's a lot of footage, but the next video is not much. Finished propaganda, exactly. See, that's why we need Santa here, because this wouldn't have happened if Santa's here. Does it look like him in fucking Finland? Does it look like it? Does it look like it here? Why the fuck did they come back? Why did they move here? I guess it was the weather. Right, I go anyway. So thank you for watching, everybody. I talk to you again, and stay tuned for that, because again, there's a good bit of work being put in the background to it. So I do appreciate any support, and it's probably good fun just to see stuff. Of our date, excuse me. Yeah, there'll be like the videos will be highlights of what I've seen, etc., etc. Night Rider. I don't know. I was watching the TV a good bit with elections and stuff like that, and I couldn't understand a word of what was being said. There was the cartoons and stuff like that, there was movies and stuff on some of the channels. It was a James Bond movie on one of them, but it was all in Finnish, But it was one of the James, like Skyfall or something. It wasn't Skyfall, yeah. It was all in Finnish, but I don't know, but the probably was like everything was in Finnish. There's no English subtitles. Yeah, well, actually, funny enough, before you say, funny enough, we talked about in the hotel room, and like we were talking about getting a picture and bringing it with us, small picture or something like this to put it behind us in the hotel room. It would have been pretty funny, not like hanging on the wall, but just behind us, honestly. But we didn't, because it would be probably very sus bringing that through an output. Well, I don't know about very sus, so you can just show them the documents I had to go into the country, the invitation and stuff. No, the only I bumped into, like, one MEP opened the door was from what they call them, from the Swedish Democrats. Was one of them that opened the door for me. I was shocked. I'm still shocked about it, that they opened the door, let me go before them. Like, that wouldn't happen here to slam the door in your face at TD. I met the Speaker of the House. I can never pronounce it. Again, half these people that are the MPs and stuff, like, you look at their names and try and pronounce them. It's insane. Like, the person I would met in the Social Democrats there, Fair Avenue, like, it's insane. It's Timioki, or something like that. Timiokio, and then don't even try and pronounce the second name, Timiokio, or something like that. Like, it's insane. It's insane. There's MPs with literally 10 digits in their name, in their second name. Like, it's insane. Like, you nearly take up half the page writing it if you were. Like, it's insane, the names. But there was other politicians and stuff like that, like, around that. I didn't come across the government around there. And then I met some councillors and stuff like that. The Social Democrats. I met one of the Green Party people that I was running for the elections when I met him on the street. But that was about it. I don't think I met anybody else. Again, I wouldn't be too familiar with all the MPs and stuff like that. Ulu. Yeah, well, I wasn't anywhere probably near Ulu. I don't think, yeah, there was councillors and stuff for the Social Democrats and so though even I couldn't even pronounce them. None of them have any kind of English names, or big Finnish names, and like Timiokio was the fellow that I met. Yeah, there's a Peace Bridge. Yeah, I know the name, but I don't know familiar too much about it. I've heard it before. Don't know. I've often seen out. I never really went into it. I've seen the name before. So what are the sniper bots? Yeah, the snipers everyone. But there's a Peace Bridge. Yeah, it's somewhere up in Lapland, somewhere like that. It's not in Helsinki. It's in Lapland somewhere. Like, I probably could have got to meet a lot more MPs and stuff like that. See, I went the day after the European elections in Finland. That was a Sunday, and it was Monday when I went to Parliament, etc., etc. And the Parliament obviously was on a half day because of the European elections, etc., etc., and other stuff. So basically, was not many people around. There was a few MPs. There was many. Because again, I was invited back that last Thursday, would you believe? Because the Prime Minister's questions, I was asked to go to Prime Minister's questions about what to go there, etc. Well, in fairness, they did ask me if I knew from the Social Democrats. They asked me did I want to meet any MP that was in Parliament. They could have got a hold of them. See, the thing I said about before, I could have met Sana. This is the thing. If she was not, like, if she's in the Tony Blair, she's a private citizen tech now. If she was still an MP or the member of the Social Democratic Party, I would have probably got to meet her there because, again, I had the option. They would have got whoever I wanted to speak to in Parliament. They would have tried to get a hold of them. If that makes any sense. Yeah, I've seen the name before. It's familiar somewhere, but I wouldn't have come across him because I didn't talk to. I presume he's probably the True Finns or something like that. I have no time for True Finns anyway. Or the basic Finns, excuse me, because the basically destroying the country. Usually it's the left in this, the left in this country, but it's not working too well over there for them. That's about it. And the Conservatives, it's just not going well. Particularly the True Finns are really fucking people over something fierce. Like not even just the people coming into the country, the only Joe and Finn and the people that have lived there all their life are fucking them over. As I said about that woman at 75, her father was in the continuation war and they're cutting her pension now. After working all her life, and the True Finns are cutting it away now. Half of her money. And her at 75, some nationalist party really. And her being a fitter citizen all of her life, some nationalists, let's put it that way. Anyway, it's a long story. I could get into it for now. I have very strong opinions on it, basically. More than probably any other because I've seen it beforehand. I wasn't that fond of the True Finns. When I've seen it now in reality, what I've seen, I could go on for hours about it. But yeah, I know I heard the name before, as I said, but I didn't come across him anyway. If he's in London anyway. But yeah, so anyway, I think we leave it there. As I said, the videos will be up. That video, the first part of it. Yeah, they're starting to waking up a bit now. But see, as I said before, I know people probably will criticize me for this, but obviously the government here and the government side here doesn't work. It needs to be a nationalist government for the Irish people, not like Sinn Féin that are just lefties in disguise. That would work here. It would probably work here because the system here is just banjoed and fucked. It's never going to work. But in Finland and the Nordic countries, I do think social democracy, like I know it sounds like a lefty, but I do think it has worked well. I think it's, as you see in Denmark, they control their own borders, etc., etc. It can work. Social democracies can work. But it wouldn't work here because democracy here seems to be just fucking. It never works. It's never worked. It's always been a two-party dictatorship, basically, and selling our country out. But it does work in the Nordics. I do think it's more. Well, probably not in Sweden because I think they just lost the plot, the Social Democrats in Sweden, and destroyed their own country. I'd say that's what happened. But anyway, we'll leave it there tonight. Thank you, and I'll talk to you again. I'll be there in a sec.